Hello, and welcome to Table Talk Friday, your weekly dose of D&D hosted by three boys in a bedroom. If you like their style, you can follow them on Instagram, YouTube, and other social media platforms. And now, back to the boys.
No, I don't know if this is normal. Drew and I talked about it earlier. I don't know if this is normal in the professional world, but I just assumed whenever I knew that we were doing an overnight thing, like when we were getting a hotel, that I would be sharing a room with my coworker, Ninja Eric.
Yeah, of course.
I assumed that we would be sharing a room, right? I just figured, our manager who's going along, Manager Eric, would get his own room, and then me and my coworker would be sharing a room. But when I checked the itinerary, like our rider today, we all have our own rooms at this place. Now, granted, the college that we're going to is paying for the hotel rooms. I was just very surprised when I looked at it, like, I'm going to have my own space? That's weird to me, because I just don't need my own room. I feel like it's a waste of, like, however much money it is per night for 2 nights for me to have my own room.
Well, I hope you're ready because they're paying for the hotel.
Your mic is off.
Oh, that's totally fine.
Hello. It is me, Drew. I'm doing great, by the way. But I bet you're super excited because since the school is paying for the room, I'm sure they're not actually putting you in a hotel. They're just giving you some dinky freshman dorms.
No. We're at a hotel. I looked it up.
Well,
I got the
say
address.
it's a hotel, but it's really just like a 3-star.
I'm pretty sure we booked the hotel and then billed them for it.
I like the idea that it's a misleading. What do you call it? Like a post, though. So you think you're booking a hotel room, but it's actually them just tricking you.
Well, my boss did call me today, sometime this afternoon, like right after I got back. We'll say 4 p.m. My boss called me at 4 p.m. today, and he was like, hey, I just want to let you know, you're probably going to be there way before me, which is true. He's driving like a big truck that can only go 65, and I'm driving a small car that can go much faster. And he was like, yeah, you're going to get there way before me. So I was talking to the hotel, and you may have to put your card on file until I get there. It shouldn't be charged. It should be good. But because you're checking in, they have to have like a card on file when you do. So you might have to use yours. And I was like, all right. And I was like, why? It could have been a text message. That's all I'm saying. This could have been an email. Why did you call me?
You getting those credit points, though?
I mean, I won't get credit points if they don't charge me. And if they charge me, I'm going to have to get refunded anyways.
But that 3% cash back, though.
No. You see, it's a phone call so that you don't have the receipts. So then after the stay, when you get charged, you say, hey, boss, you said that it was going to be on your card. And then he says, I never said that. And that's how he gets you.
Well, this is my first work trip at this job. And I am happy to say that, 1, I'm not driving the truck. 2, he told me, he was like, hey, collect the receipts on your way out. Like, make sure if you buy food, if you buy gas, you keep the receipt and then you give it to me at the end. So that way the gym pays for it. And I was like, yes, I'm paying for nothing. I will buy so much while I'm there. $300 of food in one day.
It's what I need. I'm a big boy.
I think the hotel room sounds really cool. All the food you're going to try for free sounds super cool. But the idea of driving anything through city traffic is terrifying.
Well, and this is the thing. I have had many conversations about that. You guys already know. When I go places, 1, I usually go by myself. And 2, I enjoy speaking to strangers. I really like meeting random people, talking to them, getting their phone numbers, and never texting them again. Because I still have the phone numbers of my players from the convention I went to a few weeks ago. And have I talked to them at all? Absolutely not. I hope they're listening, though, because I did give them the podcast link.
Well, then they should reach out to you first at tabletalkfriday@gmail.com.
With a question.
Yeah, exactly.
Comment or concern.
Uh-huh. And then the relationship can proceed.
Right.
Yes.
Regardless of whether the players reach out to me or not, or I reach out to them. My boss and everyone else finds this behavior weird because I've mentioned it many times, and I'm like, yeah, I just talk to people and I make friends, and I just go out for drinks with strangers. It's fun, and
that's how you get murdered, Seth.
Why would they murder me?
If you were pretty, then you'd have to look out.
But no, it's the biceps. They're intimidated.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
can't murder a man with biceps.
No.
I feel like you can though.
So, I mean, and that's what I'm saying. Everyone finds this behavior weird, and for me, it's just completely normal. When I go anywhere, I just make friends, and I'm just scared that I'm gonna go, that I'm like excited to be out of the apartment for a bit, out of the gym for a bit, doing something different, and I'm gonna get there, and they're just gonna want to stay in the hotel room. While that's fine for them, I refuse. Like I veto this decision, and whether they like it or not, they're coming with me.
So you're going to take two others to their untimely demise at a bar with some strange stranger.
Well, we can't go to a bar unless we just get food because coworker Eric, Ninja Eric, is not 21. He's coming on this trip, but I think he's 19 or 20. So, he's under the legal drinking age. Sadly.
Beans.
I know.
I'd say okay. Crack a root beer with the boys. Have some chicken tendies.
Some
good
little
to go.
tendies for the table.
Tendies for the boys.
But tendies are not what we're talking about today. Welcome to this episode of Table Talk Friday, where our subject is going to be forming the perfect D&D group. Boys, we've had our perfect D&D group for years now. We've talked about it many times on the podcast, but never like directly as a subject, like a topic for an episode. So first of all, how are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. This is me, Zach. I'm doing my deep voice today. So
I have no clue what's going on.
So I hope you're prepared for that.
Feeling great on my end with my typical voice. No crazy shenanigans on my end.
Yeah, I mean, this is depressed Seth, and I'm really sad about it.
I don't think you're going to fool them with all the lead up that we just had. Your amazing story about...
Right, about talking to strangers and stuff.
Yes, of course.
So, honestly, our D&D group is pretty crazy. It's pretty great, but we've had our ups and downs since beginning the group, and I'd say that in the beginning, it was not all, rainbows and sparkles, but first of all, we formed because we all went to the same college together. We had that sort of like niche community that we were a part of, that friend group, and we were introduced into D&D by a third party, someone who was like part of the friend group but was not before D&D. This third party DM who has been known as Lanky Eric on the podcast is kind of what got me and Zach into D&D, and then further and further led us to getting more of our friends into D&D. Past that was the moments where, as I said, I like to talk to strangers. I started to form my own D&D group because I was interested in DMing. I went around the cafeteria, formed a little D&D group, and ran an 11-session campaign for them. So much fun, had a great time. And from there was enough interest in our friend group past this with everybody else that we ended up doing another campaign our junior year of college, which ended up forming the group that we have now, plus or minus a few individuals along the way. What are your guys' thoughts on the actual formation of our group?
Well, I know you didn't intend this going in, but you do have to be okay, I think, unless just your closest friends and family are all just exactly like you are, and they all, are interested in playing D&D, and they all, it vibes with them perfectly. You have to be willing to talk to strangers, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Because there is the possibility that, you and your lifelong, best friend, you both play D&D, and maybe it's just not for them. And that happens for some people. So you can't only rely on just your close friends. You have to be willing to, meet people and make new friends, which is what we did. I think, Seth, you could agree that we were acquaintances, we were roommates, but we wouldn't be sitting here today if we weren't playing D&D.
No, absolutely not. The only other community activity we had together before that was playing Dragon Ball FighterZ. We played that for a good couple of days in a row, to the point where when we started, I was better, and then by the end of it, Zach was better.
Gohan main.
Oh, Teen Gohan, please! I love Teen Gohan. But yeah, overall, I'd say that yes, forming your group, you have to be willing to talk to strangers and kind of open yourself up a little bit. Granted, like Zach said, a lot of times you might be in those groups if you're specifically like gaming with a bunch of guys. I played Destiny 2 with a lot of guys who were interested in D&D and who already knew that I was a DM, and I was like the third party that got them into it. And I'm pretty sure they still play on the side today, which is amazing. Glad I could get some people into D&D. But yeah, unless you know a third party DM, like someone on the outside who already has experience in D&D, you've got to be willing to talk to people and you got to be willing to learn.
Yeah, and I think that can be really scary for a lot of people, especially if you're shy. I've never been a shy type of person. I've always enjoyed interacting with different kinds of people, especially at the D&D table. Like, it's fun. But for those of you that might be a little intimidated by that, and branching out and speaking to some new types of people, especially at a table where you're playing make-believe, keep in mind, you can be absolutely whoever you want to be at that table. You are no longer yourself. You can be any cool, heroic, adventurous fantasy character you could possibly imagine. And chances are, most of the other people at the table are going to think it's really cool.
And I think bouncing off that a little bit, every single table, I can't stress it enough, is extremely different. Our first group had a DM who was very much looking to tell a story. And still until today, I think that almost every game we play is based around telling a story. It's not based around the Fire Emblem like combat mechanics we're going with. It's not based around like the strategy or like the war and politics really, unless that's a major part of the story. It is based around the fact that we have a beginning and end here and characters who are involved. And you guys are involved in writing the story as much as I am. Like, while I do the couple of hours prep beforehand, when it comes down to what happens at the table, you guys do as much of the work for me as I do.
Yeah, and so you have to find people that you not only like to spend time with and, who understand the game the same way that you do and your style sort of vibe, but you also have to be good collaborators. So you have to say, yes, I like this story beat and I'm going to add on to it, and I'm going to talk with you outside of the game and, have a conversation about our characters and what the story's, where the story's going. Even if, you're the player talking to the DM and the DM's not going to tell you, into too many details about the outside, you are willing to speak and communicate and have a good time, playing D&D together. That's sort of the biggest thing. I don't know of any D&D table that lasts that you would say, yes, that was my best D&D table, where you weren't friends with everyone there.
Yeah.
I would have to say collaborating or knowing that you're going to be able to collaborate with someone might be difficult, especially if you haven't talked to them a whole lot before. So to your point, speaking to people is crucial. I can't say that everybody at our D&D table I knew super well when I jumped in. I wasn't, best friends with them or anything like that. I didn't know their life stories per se. But the people at our D&D table, I feel confident that I can work better with them than the people I work with every day at my job. It's after years and years of week after week of playing D&D and working together through, even if they're fake puzzles and false combats, it's a big deal, and you learn to work with these people.
Well, yeah, and to that point, it is something that you work towards, like an ideal D&D group. It's not, you won't sit down necessarily, and you might click in a couple of moments and say, "Ooh, yeah, I'm having fun here." But I'm not going to say that our first couple sessions of Storm Kings, I wasn't like, okay, well, we're still feeling it out. And all the pieces, I feel like they may come into place, but they may not. So,
which I think takes us into a good story of when our D&D group was not perfect. We had a member at the beginning of our campaign, and this is not us talking down on said member at all. We were, and I would say are still, friends with this person. So we're not saying this person is a bad person by any means, but we did have a problem player at the beginning of our D&D campaign.
Zach, cover your ears. It's okay.
We had a problem player for a little bit. They were a friend of ours who was also just in our friend group and had a history of playing D&D, but they had a couple of quirks here and there that did not exactly vibe with the rest of the players, while everyone else at the table would be very in tune with what's happening. have ideas for where their character is going to go and grow from here, they would consistently sit on their phone, not really paying attention to what's going on at the table, as well as not really envisioning character growth for themselves. Whenever I would bring in a plot point that would tie around their specific character, which I did a lot at the beginning of the campaign, they would kind of neutral zone and not make a decision. And in moments like those where decisions had to be made, I ended up trying to like force my hand a couple of times to where their character decided to leave the party and they made a new character to bring in because they still could not make the decision for like the good of the party. And then when new character came in, they were just like same character 2.0. And we ended up having a conversation, and the player ended up leaving the game. It wasn't a bad conflict by any means. It's not like we weren't friends with them afterwards. It was just like, hey, this, it's not you, it's us, it's all of us. We just don't vibe well here.
Right, and so when you're starting out D&D, that's a valid conversation to have, and it's a necessary one. And we've had it with many players that we've played with over the years, and it's never fun, but ultimately it is a healthy thing. Even if you have to say, okay, well, it's not going to be fair for us to continue this game with everyone else if we have to kick this person. So all right, we'll start a new campaign, or we'll let it sit for a while and we'll try a new group. That's okay, and that's growing and learning. And there are circumstances that will come up that won't allow you to play with your favorite group and everyone being there all the time. That's not realistic. So
yeah, and forming a group is a curated experience. It's not something that like we can't tell you, well, you got to find this kind of person, this kind of person, this kind of person, and this kind of person, because everyone's like perfect group that they form is going to be different. We just so happen to like care about one another enough and like have as much fun as we do in D&D that we will go out of our way to keep this exact same group together for as long as possible.
For sure, yeah. But you will run into players who, have kids, who have other responsibilities.
Which none of us are ever going to get married or have kids or anything, so that couldn't possibly get in the way.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we do, we'll just, new party member.
Well, we just know what takes priority. Sorry, kid, we can't feed you tonight. I got to play D&D.
Well, you've been voted off the island. I'm sorry, Zach. It was fun while it lasted, but now you have offspring.
Jesus. Just be ready to roll with the punches. I know a handful of people off the top of my head. I could count them on my right hand right now, and most of them are in the room, that could say they found the perfect party relatively quickly or at all. I know a lot of players that play D&D in their own groups, and a lot of times they're working it out. They're working the kinks, and they're changing people, and they're changing campaigns, and that's okay. Just be ready to roll with it and collaborate with people when the time comes.
And one crazy thing was, back when we were doing Storm Kings, Zach was still playing in a couple other like little games here and there with our like second friend group who were playing D&D. And at the time, I, as like the DM of our game, was like, I got to make sure I'm doing a really good job, or like Zach might not want to come to my games as much anymore. Like I had a little bit of like DM jealousy going on where I was like, no, my game's the one that matters. And more than anything, I was so relieved to find out that like every time Zach would come back from a session, he'd be like, this crazy, like, stupid thing I hated happened today. And I'd be like, yes! He's having a bad time.
That's absolutely true. And at the same time, I just started running Curse of Strahd as well. And so I will admit, I did have just a little bit of, like, DM competition. I was like, well, my session's got to be as good as Seth's session was. 'Cause that was a really good session.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. And Curse of Strahd, like, having Curse of Strahd and Storm Kings going on at the same time was so much fun. I actually never thought of Curse of Strahd that way, because in my head, like, I never thought, like, oh, my session's got to be better than Zach's. Like, when Curse of Strahd was happening, I was just like, this is when I get to be a player. Like, and that's all I was focused on, was I get to play Galandon. This is going to be exciting.
Yeah. But needless to say, I've been in plenty of campaigns with plenty of people that I don't talk to anymore. No burned bridges, just, we didn't click. But you'll find plenty of D&D games where you'll realize, halfway through the session, oh,
well, this was fun, and I will, see this session to its completion, but I probably won't be coming back for another one. And that's okay. Next story time, maybe I'll bring up some interesting adventures that I've been on.
Yeah, I've got a couple as well with like groups. I've probably had 4 or 5 groups outside of our main one that, whether it's like during a summer thing or like a job that I was doing at the time, who were like, yeah, let's play some D&D, and I'm like, yeah, I'll DM. Like, I'll just DM something I've already done before. Like, hey, let's play the beginning of Dragon Heist. Run that a million times. And every single time, it ends up being a thing where I'm like, man, that was just a lot on my brain. Did I have fun? I don't really know. I'll decide tomorrow.
I think that's a major red flag. If you're playing at the table with all of your friends, hanging out, maybe have some snacks, whatever, and you feel more stressed at the end of the night for some reason, might be a red flag that you might need to find a new group.
Yeah, and especially though, I want to say that might not. If it's just beginning, if you're just starting out, it might take some time for that group to come together like that. You might not have like vibing playstyles at the beginning, because we had many, many sessions of Storm Kings where I would leave being like, I can't believe this person did that thing. Like it happened. It happened many times where I'd leave and be like, this is a problem. Like this, I'm so like, I'm not happy with how that went. And it didn't mean we didn't have a good group. It's like that I cared so much about the session that one little thing being off was like, oh, that's irking me.
Why did Pat spend 500 gold on a dog?
Exactly.
But bad example, because we all loved that. But
yeah, no, we all thought that was hilarious. But seriously, moments like that would happen where it would be like, why couldn't they just like do what their character would have done? Or like, realistically, we're not your character. We're not going to make decisions for them like that. And I never get in between someone's decision and their character. I just let them make it. But at the same time, I would leave sessions every now and then with expectations, and then when they're not served, I'm just like, that was draining, even though we already had our good group together. Now, I haven't left a session like that in probably over a year, probably longer than that. So I think we've kind of gotten to a point where pretty much every session feels like, good job, like we're done, like that was fun. But at the same time, it is possible that whenever, say, your DM is new, or you have players who are going to be asking a lot of questions or haven't figured out their playstyle exactly, or it's someone you don't know as well, and you're going to take time to learn who they are and how they play D&D, and they might have some little quirks that annoy you. Patrick did do that for quite a long time, where he annoyed me a little bit when we played, and then once I realized this is still just my friend Patrick, I don't need to be annoyed by this. I get how Patrick's brain works. I've known him for 15 years. Then it became like more of a like, this is endearing. This is fun.
And it's okay to have those quirks. It's okay to have those, decisions that you don't agree with at the table. That's part of the fun of D&D, is dealing with other people at the table.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think if you get to the end of the session, or numerous sessions, where you can make the point where you wish you hadn't played that day, I think that is the red flag itself. Because I've been stressed a great deal over D&D. I've gone to sleep at nights and lost sleep, or had a night where like, oh, I should have done this, or oh, I should have learned this spell, or something totally different. But it comes down to whether or not you had fun at the end of it.
Right. And I think as a new player, newcomer to D&D, I was just so excited about a lot of it that I fell into this trap. And you'll hear people say it online all the time. But I was playing D&D because I wanted to play D&D, but no D&D is better than bad D&D, which, you hear that all the time, but it's true. You'll get so excited about, oh, well, I've never played this race and class before, and my character's going to have this and this and this, and it's all going to be about me, but then you show up at the table, and then you realize, oh, well, I would be having fun at another table, but I guess this game is dependent on the other people at the table after all. So,
well, yeah, and that's why I think we all came under the assumption early on, like, oh, character creation is so much fun. Like, you get all these dreams of what your character can be and who they are, and I would say that I thought that was like one of the most fun parts of the game at first. And nowadays, I completely 180 on that and say that, session 45, whenever something crazy is going on with these characters we've been building up for a year, that's D&D to me. That's the best part of the game, is whenever we actually hit those high points of the campaign. Whereas before, I think especially for new players, the character creation, the imagination is where all the fun is at. Whereas like nowadays, the imagination is what's going to happen next session.
Well, let me hit you with something that's about to blow your mind. What is those 45 sessions leading up to that great moment with the characters you've been playing for so long, if not character creation?
That's way too many hours of the customization screen. That's all I'm saying.
That's
Way
me
too
making my
much.
character for Elden Ring.
Well, yeah, but you can't specify in the Elden Ring character creator that your character has problems with authority and that they get along really well.
Well, no, that's
with,
just
like,
if I'm role playing my character in the game. You know, like I see a guy with a crown and I go, "I'm so sorry, sir. I'll leave." And I turn around and walk out of the castle.
Yeah, for sure.
Imagining walking into the room, Seth's playing Skyrim, and just role playing with the NPCs.
I pause every time they finish a voice line, and then I speak back to them.
I hate that. That's
No, you
awful.
just voice act the lines they give you. They say, "Who are you? You've come to Helgen. There's a dragon attacking Helgen." You say, "My gosh." I forget the Skyrim lines, but
Oh
you know
my
what I'm
gosh!
saying.
Now this is a great idea for a TikTok series, guys, that we should come out with. Where like I'm sitting there playing a game, one of you is recording, and I just start talking back to the characters.
Original idea. Do not steal.
Yeah, I talk back to him in characters. So it's like Gallandon plays Skyrim for the first time.
Well, now that reminds me of something that I saw. Coming back to Dragon Ball Z, of course, the Team 4-Star, they did that where they would play games on their gaming channel in character.
Oh, I've watched a couple of those
Yeah.
videos. They're very funny. Like watching Vegeta play like a Dragon Ball game.
Yeah, Krillin plays Outlast, I think.
Oh my gosh, that's such an. I want to go back and watch that. I love watching Krillin play through a horror game.
Never play a D&D game where people have names like Krillin. These are awful names.
Yeah, come
well,
back,
like
do better.
Vegeta.
No,
You
those
know.
are made up awful names.
Well, there's nothing wrong with those made up names versus Pyth and Eknon. But the problem with those names is they do come from an anime. I will agree with you there, Drew. I would not want to play at a table necessarily where everyone's naming themselves after anime characters.
Well, we let Patrick just name his characters after other characters that he knows. Like, oh, I'm gonna be Varys because I'm gonna try to play like Varys from Game of Thrones. Now, does that ever happen? No, the characters are nothing. His character's nothing like Varys from Game of Thrones. That was the intent when he made his character, but he's not like that.
Yeah, well, and we let Patrick do whatever he wants, and the important part is that everyone is there at the session.
No, that's true. It's just that got me like, yeah, well, Patrick can do whatever he wants because that's totally him.
Yeah, I mean, you try and argue with Patrick, you cannot.
No, it's impossible.
No, he'll.
I've learned.
Yeah, but he'll somehow come out on top every time.
Oh yeah.
Even when you thought, no, Patrick, you stupid idiot. That's not how the game works. And he never dies. He never dies. He
Seth
never
drew a map down on the table and pointed something out to you. Does that mean there's a monster there? ? I wonder. Daleth goes over to look over the cliff's edge. Oh, he does in fact. Roll stealth, Daleth. That's a 1, Seth. Oh, I see. 3 wyverns come up over the side of the cave.
You're surprised.
You're
so they all attack at once.
Oh, well, I'm going to Misty Step away, and then they all just fall down on top of you, killing you. Yeah, but, he's never had a character death, right? In a campaign.
Did he die from the wyverns, or did
No,
he just drop to 0?
he dropped to 0.
Okay.
He should have died from the wyverns.
Well, I was forgetting because Morwen had Revivify, so I was thinking he might have just revived him instantly, and we forgot about the death.
Nah, he just got brought back up. He didn't get revived.
Yeah.
I think the question at that point is he got, punctured at the edge of the cliff. How quickly can you get to the bottom of that cliff to cast Revivify? That's awful. Just imagine your friend goes to scope out like an area, right? And he's like, all right, guys, I'm going to go check this out. He turns around. Nope, nothing over here. As 3 wyvern tail right behind him, stab at him, and your friend's gone.
That happens sometimes.
Or once. Or just once.
Oh, jeez. I could imagine it happening, though, and then in-game, Patrick looking at me, like, in just, like, just so surprised that I just murdered his character.
What do I do, DM?
I mean, like the moment in the Tomb of Horrors when his character died and he thought he was dead.
Yeah. Well, that was different because you said big rock fall. You failed your save. You're dead.
Oh, yeah, I described it in the way that should sound like that. I was like, yeah, and when the rock finishes rolling over, you just see the two flat bodies of Varys and Paz on the ground.
You
I don't trust
motherfucker.
rocks
It
anymore.
was so much fun.
I was legitimately afraid because I this is what I thought happens in the Tomb of Horrors. So I expected it. And when it happened, I was, well, I guess that's what happens. You only have yourself to blame, Patrick.
Does character death build your group? Do you think it helps more, or do you think it drives
I think
a wedge?
character death with meaning builds your group. I think character death for the sake of character death, like, oh, the DM won today, is completely toxic.
I think that's fair. What about an NPC? Because I often like when I run some of my games bringing characters together through loss. So a lot of times, you like, oh hey guys, check out this really cool NPC you can hang out with for 2 sessions, and then,
Yeah, Harshnag.
don't you can't bring him up, man. It's too soon.
You motherfucker. I loved Harshnag. I loved having him around and just casting haste on him and saying, go nuts.
Or like finding Felgalos on the brink of death.
I wish I was there for that session. I missed the only session where we saved an actual dragon from a cloud.
I mean, yeah. As far as building your group goes, guys, we got to bring up the one thing that happens around groups and why most groups fall apart. Scheduling. Why is scheduling, one, so damn hard? And then two, what are the ways that, one, we know how to solve around scheduling and or just like some ways to make your schedule work for everyone?
Well, I'll say just up front, we are beholden to scheduling just like anyone else is. And we haven't played D&D in 3 weeks.
Yeah, this will be...
This will be the third week.
This is the third week, and we're playing on Sunday.
Yeah. So, third week. And if we miss this session, it's going to be 4 weeks. But, so when any of us can't play, we do everything that we can to see, all right, well, can we move it to this day or blah, blah, blah. If that doesn't work, then we reschedule the session because we're not going to play without someone.
Right. So 2 weeks ago, I ended up losing my voice, as you guys heard on the podcast episode, and I had to sing in a couple of days for a family event. So I, trying to spare my voice as much as possible, decided to cancel D&D. Then, this past week, also my fault, because I didn't pay attention to my own schedule, and it's been very hectic lately. And when we play on Fridays pretty frequently, and that Friday, I ended up having an event that went until 9:30, and everybody could not stay up late, which I was willing to come back at 10 p.m. and start DMing right away. But that ended up not working out, so this coming Sunday is our next scheduled session. Hopefully it ends up working out.
Yeah, but that will happen. So just basic tips for scheduling around, people missing. Figure out what works for your group. I know that there are plenty of tables that say, no, we're not going to miss a session. If you can't be there, that's fine. Your character goes off screen for a little bit. They just got something very important that they had to do.
They're sick.
Yeah, or they're sick. I got to hang back, but I'll catch up with you guys.
No, hello, let me use lay on hands and cure your disease.
No, absolutely not. I'm super sick. I've got super tetanus.
Ooh. I think the important thing to know at this point with scheduling is there's no solution to scheduling. It's always going to be a hassle in one way or the other. And that sounds sad and depressing. But keep in mind, just blow that group chat up. make it work. Just with the theme of the rest of this episode.
Man,
just
if you
keep
blow
it
my
rolling.
group chat up, I'm going to get so annoyed I'll cancel the session myself.
If we go one more week without playing, I'll forget what we're doing. I'll forget my character, Seth.
No, don't you lie to me.
50 sessions deep, I have to make a new one because I can't remember him.
No, I really want to play this week. I've had this session prepped for like literally going on 3 weeks at this point.
Yeah, crazy stuff. But it's going to be great. And we're still, on the edge of anticipation waiting for that next bit, which makes it worth it. I think for our group it works because we value each other's presence at the table so much, and we've got this healthy dynamic.
Yeah, we haven't had a single session where someone's missing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's our personal goal, but it doesn't need to work for every table, and especially if we've got 5 players, which means 6 people that need to be at every session. That is a large number. If our group was any bigger, I don't know if we could do it.
No, of course not. And given the fact that most of our schedule revolves around 1, whenever Sean is working, and then 2, we only have time to play 1 day a week. Like, all of our schedules only line up once per week. Like, if we try to change the date, 90% of the time we're not able to do it unless there's a holiday around the corner. Someone's happens to have a night off when they shouldn't have. Like, it's almost impossible for us to schedule around it. So yeah, making our 1 day a week work has been important to us, and we haven't had a stint like this in quite a long time. I think most of the time we are very regular, like playing every single week. I do think I'm going to be pretty busy this summer, and that it's going to be like really wild with my scheduling. Hopefully it ends up timing itself out right most of the time. Hopefully, whether it does or not, we'll see.
Yeah, but we'll press on anyway. And, if we have to miss, consecutive sessions, then that might be a good time for someone else to say, oh, well, I have this one-off that I've been, itching to play. So, Seth, you might miss out on my kick-ass one-off, but we're not, playing the main story out without all present. Or, I've seen other DMs who will say, okay, well, if everyone can't be here at the session, then we'll still do something related to the campaign, but we'll do like a side story. So maybe we'll do some backstory for, one of the major NPCs, and you all make characters, and then we, do a session that involves their backstory in some way.
So, all in all, when creating your perfect D&D group, it's tough to say. It's kind of a little bit of tough love, but trial and error is pretty much your only, the only way you can do it. I mean, you can, communication is going to be your biggest effort here. If you're in a Discord group with a lot of people and you vibe with a bunch of them, maybe ask them to get together and play a game of D&D. You might come up with some problem players every now and then. And the biggest thing there is to not hold back, not deal with it, and just communicate about it. Many times, I think all 3 of us have had to talk to players before about problems, right?
Yeah, my least favorite part of the hobby, but yeah.
Yeah, and granted, with our current group, we're not going to have to do... I do not foresee talking to anybody about a problem in the foreseeable future as long as this group stays together. But it happens in the hobby all the time, having to pull that player aside, having to communicate with them. And that's just something that the DM or a veteran player, someone at the table, has to deal with, and it's tough. So keep shooting for it. You will find your perfect group eventually. But boys, do you have any other final thoughts on forming a great D&D group? Not necessarily perfect. No D&D group is perfect, not even ours, but forming a good one.
Well, yeah, other thoughts, don't put a time limit on it. It took us maybe a year and a half, 2 years before we fully realized what it was that we had here.
Oh, yeah.
And it may take longer, and just don't give up necessarily.
Like any good relationship. It has to take time to grow.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, absolutely.
Which ties well into commitments. Don't commit to anything that might hurt you later. Don't bog yourself down, to Zach's point, with time limits. Don't give yourself too many players. Don't say you're going to play 3 times a week for the next 2 years. Just start slow, adjust, roll with the punches, and your group will get there.
And with that, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Table Talk Friday, all about forming your perfect D&D group. If you would like to follow us anywhere else, you can follow us on TikTok at Table Talk Friday or on Twitter at Table Talk Friday. We tweet out all the new episodes as well as put up different clips and TikToks from these episodes themselves, usually the funniest parts of the episodes, or something a little more informative if you miss like little bits and pieces of advice there. So please follow us on the social media platforms you can find us. If you would like to send in any questions, comments, or concerns, you can email us at tabletalkfriday@gmail.com. And with that, perfect player, take us out.
Ooh, ooh. Me. I'm the perfect player. It's all me. Me.
Thank you for listening to Table Talk Friday. For more information, advice, questions, comments, and concerns, you can email the boys at tabletalkfriday@gmail.com. And if you'd like to tell your own stories, why don't you hit them up there? Send an inquiry or something, a sending spell. Thank you very much for listening, and please follow and come back next week. Goodbye. Bye-bye.